So hello and welcome back to Excelsior Academy. Today we'll be doing a mole bio series. In that we are going to talk about the protein domains. So in the last lecture we talked about the different levels of proteins, right? So in this we are going to talk about the domains. Now, folding of a polypeptide chain creates an inside and an outside, thus generates buried and exposed amino acid side chains respectively. So what does it mean over here? See, whenever a polypeptide chain is there, it is going to get folded, right? So you are going to have the inside as well as the outside part of the amino acid. So we also know that the outer region is going to have the R group, or that is the amino acid, which is going to be having the polar nature, right? And the inside one, the buried one, are going to be hydrophobic in nature. Please remember always, right? Because they are going to repel, or they are going to, avoid water. Now, if the polypeptide chain is too short, there are no conformation, right? Because then they are called peptides. Pentapeptides, heptapeptides, or decapeptides. So they will not fold anywhere. Now, and they will, so that there are no conformation that bury enough hydrophobic groups to stabilize the folded structure. But if you have a longer polypeptide chain, then it will definitely fold to form a domain. Okay, so minimum how much? Around 50 to 300 residues are required in order to polypeptide chain to get folded to become a domain. Okay, now each of the two or more domains of a folded polypeptide chain sometimes contains a continuous sequence of amino acid residues. So what does it mean? It means that you might have a domain over here and domain over here, and both of them will be connected by a sequence of amino acids. So what does it mean? It means that they are not they are not separate. Okay, so they are just in continuous. N terminal will be here and C terminal will be here. So they are just continuous. It's just that these many amino acids and these many amino acids, they will tend to form the domains. Okay. Okay. So is it clear? Just stop me whenever it is not clear. Okay. Yeah. So this is how it will look like. So you are having two domains over here. Now, can you tell me what kind of secondary structures are present in the given figure? Yes, anyone? Pratima? So what all secondary structures are present? Can you identify? Yes, anyone? Pallavi?
Beta peptide sheets.
Yes, beta sheets and?
Anti-parallel.
Yes, so you can see that over here. Very good, Ranjan. So here, see, it is given in this direction, this is given in this direction. So these are the beta sheets in anti-parallel direction. Okay. Now what else? Can you see alpha helices over here? Anywhere can you see in the structure? Here you have got the alpha helix. Okay. Now what are these? They are called turns. Okay, especially beta turns they are called. Is it clear? So whenever you do see these structures, you can study in PyMol also. I have mentioned before also, PyMol is the online free software. You can upload the structure taken from the PDB, that is Protein Data Bank, and you can study the structures over here, over there. Okay. Yes. Now, what are the different classes of protein domains? So, in order to classify the protein domains, a database is used. Now, what is the database called? CATH. This is important to remember. It is called CATH. Class, architecture, topology, homology. Okay. Okay. So, classification of protein domains allows simple and summary description. So, what you can do whenever you type CATH in Google, you will get a form, you will get a page. Over there, if you put any name of the protein and just search and press the search button, you will get what all different types of domains present in that particular protein and what are the similar proteins containing that particular same domain. That summary you will get. Okay. So, for example, CATH database starts with separation of proteins into classes according to their principal secondary structure. So, mainly it is alpha helix, mainly beta strand, a mixture of both alpha as well as beta. And the fourth class is for the domains having the very little secondary structure. So what are the four categories? Alpha helix, beta sheets, alpha plus beta, and only having the domains. Okay, so these are the four categories used in order to make the database called CATH. Now, the most important levels in the classification hierarchy are called fold or the topology and homology. So this is what T and H of the CATH. Now, the fold class takes into account not only the secondary structure but also the chain passes from one helix or the strand to another. So what does it mean? In the fold, they're also talking about, suppose I have like this, beta sheets, antiparallel are there. Okay. Now, if I have got the chain like this, even this will be considered. Okay, so even these chains are also important, which is connecting the fold together. Now, a group of homologous proteins are ones which sequence similarity is great enough to assume that they have got common evolutionary origin. So what do you mean by homologous protein? It means that they have got the similarity in their sequence. Now, if suppose they have got the identical sequence, then what does it mean? Yes, sequence similarity and so sequence similarities means they are going to have the similar amino acids, right? Now, if you have got the identical amino acids, it means they are going to be the same proteins but present in different organisms. This we have discussed already, right? About the paralogs, orthologs, homologs. We have discussed already, don't forget. Now, look at this classification. So, in the first, you can see, in the first example, you can see that it is all alpha helices plus turns are there like this, connecting ones between the alpha helices, right? So this is all alpha helices. The example is myoglobin. Now, second one, what do you see? This is all beta strands. Okay. Now, what about this? This is have got alpha here and beta here. Both are present. So this is how your protein will look like if it has got all the alpha, all the beta, and alpha and beta. Okay. Now, see over here also they have said that they have used PyMol to prepare the structure. Okay. I've taken directly from the textbook. So even if you don't understand anything, you can just go to the textbook directly. Now, what is CATH? So already mentioned, it is a data bank. It's a database where actually you can study about the three-dimensional structures of a protein, and also you can study about the domains, what all domains are present in this. Okay. So in the CATH, they have classified as, so at the class level, the domains are assigned according to their secondary structures. That is all alpha, all beta, mixture, and the little secondary structure. Now, what about the architecture? Information is based on the secondary structure arrangement in 3D space. Okay. Topology based on the secondary structure elements connected and arranged is used. So topology means on the top when you see, okay, how exactly the top view, the surface, the fold is, they are talking about the fold of the protein. Now next, the last one is about the homologous superfamily. That is if the protein are belonging to the same family or they are having the ancestral evolutionary origin. In short, it means having the similar sequences. Okay. So in this way, they have classified the all proteins domain. So in short, this is like the classification. So class, the overall secondary structure content. Architecture, highest structure similarity but no evidence of homology. Topology, they are sharing the structural features. Homologous, they are sharing the sequences. That is, similar sequences are there. Now this is also one part very important, linkers and hinges. Now where do you see linkers and hinges? Can you tell me one example where you have heard of these linkers and hinges?
H1 protein nucleus model.
Very good. And where else? Simple, antibodies. Okay, so your antibodies are also made up of these domains, and these domains are connected with the help of linkers and the hinges. Okay, so here we are going to discuss about one of the example is antibodies only. Good. Now, one more thing you need to remember is your pepsin and papain. Okay. These two enzymes can also cleave the protein. Now, it's your assignment now. When you do the pepsin digestion, what all you get, and when you do the papain digestion, what all you get. That is your assignment, and I'll be asking in the next class tomorrow itself. Getting the point? So you know what happens when trypsin cleavage happens. Trypsin cleavage, chymotrypsin, CNBR, right? In the same way, pepsin also and papain also, they also act on the definite parts of the protein. So you just need to find out at what regions they are. Okay. So that's your assignment. Okay. Coming back to linkers and hinges. So the links between two domains of a folded protein can be short. So it allows a tight and rigid interface between them, allowing considerable flexibility. Okay, so what does it mean? So you have got two domains over here. Okay, now the links between the two domains, this link they are talking about. If it is very short, what will happen? The movement of these two domains will be very tight. What do you mean by tight? It means it is restricted, correct? It will not move here and there. Are you able to imagine? If suppose the link or the distance, not the distance, the length of the link is high, or if it is more, what will happen then? More space will be taken by the two domains in order to bind any receptor. Okay, so they can have more movement as compared to the having shorter linkers. Are you able to understand? I mean, are you able to imagine this?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am.
Have got the two domains, this much small region is there, then you have got two domains and having this much. So who has got the more movement? The second one as compared to the
Second one.
first one. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So some proteins have extremely long flexible linkers because their function within a cell requires that domains at either end interact over long and variable distance. So in some cases, what happens if you have on the cell surface, let us say this is plasma membrane, and your proteins are present like this. Okay. Now, to this is suppose your domain or maybe the Ig, that is your antibody itself, which is made up of all domains only. Is suppose it has to interact. So it will go and bind over here, it will go and bind over here, like this, something like this. Okay. So more the distance, that is long flexible linkers are there, then it becomes very easy for them to cover the more distance. Okay, interacting over the long and variable distance. Now, the amino acid sequences of long linkers generally lack large hydrophobic groups. Now, what does it mean? Obviously, right? They have to extend their portion here and there. They have to interact a lot in the aqueous solution. So, obviously, they will have less amount of hydrophobic amino acids. Because having hydrophobic group means what? It has to be buried inside the protein, right? So if each domain is present, the domain will have the hydrophobic groups buried inside it. What is present on the outside? The hydrophilic your amino acids. Okay. So, so the amino acid sequences of long linkers generally lack large hydrophobic groups, which their extendable, flexible conformation cannot sequester from the water. So they are always buried. So here we are taking antibody as an example to study about the protein domains. Okay. So we know that the antibodies are circulating. They're also called immunoglobulins. Okay. So they have got the two identical heavy chains and two identical light chains. So everyone knows the structure it is, right? It is like this. So you
Y
have,
shape. Yes.
yes. So you have got the two heavy chains and two light chains are there. Now the light chains have variable domain and a constant domain. Now it is like this: variable domain and constant domain. And heavy chain contains variable domain and 3 constant domains. Okay. I mean, I made the structure like this. It has to be like this, something like this. So variable constant of light chain, variable constant of heavy chain. Then you will have it like this. Okay. So there are total how many then? 12 independent domains. I'll show you the figure actually, then it will be more clear. Look at this figure. Okay. So do you see the domains over here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Correct. So this side 6, this side 6. So you're total having 12 domains. Can you see in the structure? Is it-
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. See over here also it is going variable, constant, variable, constant, constant, constant. Okay. One second. Okay. Now, variable of heavy and variable of light are variable. What does it mean? Variable means that they are having the affinity for large variety of antigens. Okay. So, the entire portion of antibody will be similar. They will be identical. Only the variable part of the antibodies are going to differ. Now, why this difference is required? Because in the body there are many chances that different antigens or different bacteria can attack. So in order to have a broad spectrum, these antibodies have got the variable region. Now what does it, now who gives this variability in the antibodies? Can you tell me? See, antibodies are present in the body itself, right? Before, so right now currently your antibodies are there. Now when you get infected with the antigens to which you were exposed before, like for example we take vaccines, right? So that's why we have already the antibodies against many viruses. Now again, if you get exposed, what happens? Antibodies are there, memory cells are there, they will produce
They
antibodies.
will fight against it.
Very good. Now but what decides the variability in the antibodies? Like who decides? I mean, how the variable antibodies are produced in the cells? So we know that
Because of antigens.
correct, but still, even if the cell gets contacted by the one particular antigen, it makes many thousands of antibodies having variability. That variable region is going to have difference in the amino acid structure. Have you ever heard of VDJ recombination? VDJ recombination? Yes?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay.
What is the full form, ma'am?
VDJ, okay, full form even I don't know. So it's actually the genes responsible for synthesizing your heavy and light genes.
Okay, ma'am.
So they are actually the genes. So whenever the genes are there, they get transcribed at that moment. So these genes will get transcribed from the mRNA. You're going to get the proteins, that domains, right? So before becoming a complete domain, it undergoes the what do you say, the combination, recombination. So up and down, VDJ, DJ, VJ. So all these combination will be there. Don't worry, I'll take this. I mean, even though it is not part of your syllabus, but I'll be taking this for the MSc students. You can also see the video then, so that you can understand. It is not part of your syllabus though. Okay, so this helps in making the variations in the antibodies. And that's why even if you get contacted with one antigen, your body is ready to fight against them having the different types of antigens also. Okay. Now, variable domains determine specific affinity for the antigens. Now, you have got the three constant regions. They are constant because much smaller number of these domains are linked with the one of the many variable domains. What does it mean? It's just saying that they don't go under any recombination. Okay, so they are just constant, and that is required because they can bind only to the specific receptors which are present on the host cells. So how it is going to act? So your cell is there, right? Antibodies are there. These antibodies, they go and bind over here. So the antigens will come over here. Okay. Okay. So you have got the FAB and FC region. So what do you mean by FAB? FAB region is this much, this one, your top variable region. Okay. And then FC means constant regions. So the controlled proteolytic attack selectively cleaves the hinge, allowing preparation of both FAB and FC moieties. Now, who does this thing? It is the pepsin and papain. So that's your assignment to find out which one. Okay. Now, the short link elbow between the variable and the constant domains has restricted flexibility. So they are talking about which region? This region. Okay. So here it has got the restricted flexibility, but whereas over here it has got maximum flexibility. So the much longer link hinge between CH2 and CH3 of each heavy chain has the greater flexibility. It allows antigen binding sites, which is also called complementarity determining regions. So they are also called the CDR, that is complementarity determining regions at the tip of each fab. So this is called your CDR, and this is where your antigen binds. Okay, is this clear? So what you need to remember is, no, you need to find out, your assignment is to find out the action of pepsin and papain, okay, on antibodies, IG. So pepsin gives you a Fab or a FC, or papain gives you a Fab or FC. So this you need to find out. Okay, so protein modification. Now this is very, very, very important. You need to remember. So protein modification, two types are there: glycosylation and the phosphorylation. What you need to remember is on what amino acid this takes place. Okay, so what you have to remember is over here is simple. This residue. So it is your asparagine, X, and serine or threonine. So this sequence is responsible where your glycosylation can take place. Similarly, your phosphorylation, it will take place on serine, threonine, and tyrosine. Why? Because they all have got the OH group, okay, to which your phosphate group can be added. Now, where all this thing happens? It all happens in the ER of your eukaryotic cells. Whereas in the case of histidine, it happens in the prokaryotes. Is it clear? Can you remember this? So all your glycosylation and phosphorylation occurs. So it is taking place in the ER. So glycosylation, phosphorylation, for the glycosylation to take place, if this sequence is present, then the glycosyl, that is a sugar group, will be added. And this all modification takes place in the ER of the eukaryotes. What just you have to remember is that if it is histidine having the phosphorylation group attached, then it is happening in the prokaryotes. Rest all is happening in the eukaryotes ER. Okay. This is important slides. Okay, next. So this I found really very interesting. It was taken from the textbook directly. It has given very nicely about what is primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary structure. Today we talked about domain. Now you shouldn't get confused between domain and motif, because after this topic, many a times we will be talking about a motif only. So domain is actually the complete folder structure, whereas motif you can see, alpha is there, then beta is there, then again alpha is there. So only this much portion will be called as the motif. Okay. So now, so then what is topology? Today also we discussed this thing. Then homologous domains. And what is the ectodomain? So it is actually a part of single pass membrane protein that lies on the exterior side of the cell membrane. So this is like you have got the cell membrane, right? And we talked about over here your transmembrane proteins will be there. So what is present over here? Here, this portion is called the ectodomain. Then we talked about glycosylation. So there are two types, N-linked and O-linked glycosylation. So O means it has to be serine or threonine. N means it has to be asparagine. Okay. Then denaturation, that is unfolding of a protein structure. This can happen when you increase the temperature or introduce any chemical denaturants like urea or detergents, guanidine hydrochloride. Now what is chaperone? It helps in the folding of the protein. So there are many proteins which are acting as the chaperones. For example, HSP. 60 is there, 70 is there, 90 is there. So this will study in the cell bio part when we'll talk about the protein sorting. Okay, you know what is active site and allosteric regulation in the case of enzyme. So that's all about the today's class. I hope it was all informative. So in the next class, we'll be talking about the structure of the protein, the 3D structure of the proteins. Okay, so till then, take care, keep studying.